In this video, we're going to see how easy it is to link your Gecko chat account with your Salesforce account. Begin by logging into Gecko chat and navigating to Settings, Integrations, and looking for the Salesforce card. Click Setup to get going, and the very first decision you have to make is which type of Salesforce environment you're linking to. Is this a live or production environment or a testing/sandbox environment? Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be linking to a sandbox environment, but this is exactly the same process if it's a live environment that you're linking to. Click Next, and then you'll be asked to authenticate, i.e. log in with the correct account on Salesforce. Now, I've already logged in the background. You can see my Salesforce tab just there, so Gecko will recognize that and log me directly in. Now we're taking to the important part, which is how we choose the mappings between the two different systems. And there are two different sections here, contact fields and conversation fields. Now we cover exactly how conversation fields work in the video below this. For the purposes of this video though, we're going to focus on contact fields. That is, if we capture a name or an email or a telephone number or a program of interest on the contact record in Gecko chat, how can we push that to the relevant contact or lead or any other table on Salesforce? To get started, as you'd imagine, we're going to go ahead and click Add New Contact Field to start creating these relationships between the two different fields across the platforms. Click Add New Contact Field and you'll be asked which module you want to read to. Now, don't be fooled, although this only says Contact and Lead, you can in fact write to other modules too. Let us know if you're interested in doing that and we can choose, we can kind of action that for you. I'm going to choose contact to begin with, and then I'm going to choose which attribute I want to write to in Salesforce. So for me, it's important that I capture the name, and I could choose to create a new field on Gecko to link to this, or I could map to an existing Gecko field. For me, the first name field is perfect, that already exists. So we're going to create that mapping, and really simply put, all that we've done here is we're telling Gecko, if you capture a first name in Gecko, what we want to do is push that to the contact object and specifically the first name attribute. Let's go ahead and repeat this process then for some of the other essentials. So we'll say we want to map the last name field with the Gecko chat last name field. We'll also do email as well. Now, the really nice thing about this process is that if you have any big pick lists, so I'm thinking your usual things like program of interest, you can choose to pull those over, including the pick list options into Gecko chat. You don't need to map to an existing field. You can choose create new and say, you know, this is the big options list I'd like to also import whilst we're doing this. So we try to make life as simple as possible for you. And that's it. I'm now ready that if a conversation were to come in, if we close that conversation, we're going to push the details over to Salesforce, and we'll see that momentarily. Before we do start testing this, though, it's worth saying that at any time you can come back into Settings Integrations, and you can choose to manage the integration, you can add new contact fields, you can edit or remove existing ones, and you also have the option to define how the matching works when the data is pushed to Salesforce. Now, left unchecked with no in all of these different columns, then basically we're telling Salesforce, we want you to handle all of the matching. So we'll pass the data from Gecko, and then Salesforce takes care of whether or not a contact gets merged into an existing one, or if it creates a new contact when the conversation comes over. But you also have the granular choice in Gecko to decide, actually, this is a criteria we'd like to use to matching or not. Now, let's test this in the live. We have a wonderfully named Gecko student, Johnny Gecko student, who's going to begin a chat with us momentarily. And we'll see that come into chat itself. We can see that conversation. We'll send that message back to the student. And you know what? We've done our job here. We've finished the conversation. So in order to get the conversation to sync over to chat, to Salesforce, all we need to do is close this conversation down. And in the act of the conversation getting closed down, this will actually trigger a sync over to Salesforce. So if we actually come to Salesforce and we search for a student, we should hopefully see our student has pushed over right here. So you can see it's an instantaneous sync. Currently, we're only mapping contact details, but again, in the next video below, we're going to talk about how we can include the full conversation transcript in what we're pushing across to Salesforce.